What's happening, guys? I'm Kobe Chowan here with Craig McCoy, and welcome to our latest Tuesday training, where every week we bring to you a live training from lead gen and AI all the way to business planning and goal setting.
You have the new version and the old version. We collaborate to make it awesome.
If you want to join and jump on the next Tuesday training, join our school platform below. It's completely free. Click the link below, and we'll see you there.
Well, I always like to know how the other agents are doing. I feel like things keep going into pending. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when I have my searches up, it seems like there's a lot of properties going into pending pretty fast.
I'll let others answer that question if anybody wants to jump in. But for me, and I was telling TJ that this morning, is price. Right now, price is the driver. I don't care how great you are or how great you think you are. Price is your determinant. I mean, when the market's increasing, yeah, you can price it high. The market's going to catch you. But in a flat or declining market, price is price is your friend.
We have a listing right now that we have dropped a couple $100,000 five times now. We started at like 5.7 and then went down to 5.5 and then 5.4 and then 5.2 and then now 4.9999. And just the guys chasing the market down. And we try to get them to go low to start in like the high fours. And we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot. And just with every price drop, the offers just come in a little bit lower and a little bit lower. And we're just working our way down.
So yeah, with that being said, this is when being a good agent actually matters. I mean, you guys are in the trenches. You guys know what's happening in the market. You know what things are selling at. You know what they should be selling at. You know where things should be priced at. A seller is going to look at Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes or Redfin or whatever and go, "Oh, my house is worth, 5.5 million when you know it's worth 4.5 million or whatever, 400,000 when it's worth, or they think it's worth 8." You have to stand your ground in this market because you're going to sit on the market for 90, 120 and lose the listing anyways. You may as well lose it before you even start. My famous line is like, I'd love to be wrong, but over my 27-year career, very rarely am I. And one of them was close. I was being wrong when TJ was trying to get his listing. And again, it's family, so you can only push so hard. Comps are in that 1.6 to high 1.8 range, and they want 2 million. And it's just like, I mean, I'd like to think I'm not an idiot. I've been doing this for a long time. I would love for you to just trust me to a certain extent, but they think it's worth 2 million. TJ gets an offer at 1.825. I think, holy shit, this is a great offer. They're like, I want to stay firm at 2 million. And I'm like, holy shit. Okay, whatever. So they counter back, and out of the gate, the agent verbally says, yeah, that's actually, they'll probably go there. And I'm like, I'm totally wrong. Well, long story short, buyer doesn't go there. Buyer walks, buyer buys another property. I hate to be right. You know what I mean? So you guys have to be good agents in this market. You have to price things right. You have to be um, educating your sellers on where to price things, why to price them there, and really just kind of have that honest conversation up front, because you'll be like, not like Kobe, but like in that market where you're chasing it backwards. You never want to do that. It's just a bad look. It's a bad look for you. It's a bad look for them. Um, that first offer in this market typically
It's going to be
your best. So yeah, be careful on your counters.
Yeah, we declined an offer over what the current ask price is now.
Yeah.
That came in last fall.
Yeah. Sadly, I've lived through these markets and I've seen it happen too many times. And when I'm wrong, yeah, I'm wrong in the inclining market. That's fine. When I'm wrong in a declining market, that's bad. So again, sorry, Sue. If anybody else wants to jump in and chime in and give us your 2 cents, by all means, I'm all ears. I'll stop talking.
I just canceled the listing.
That was
Because we got a second offer that was higher than the first one, which was unusual. And they kept being petty, going back and forth. They couldn't come to an agreement. But my seller is kind of crazy. She wanted to raise the price again. So I said, we're done.
Yeah.
protect your sanity.
Yeah. Because it was 9 months.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling to like put all that time into something and they don't listen to you, they don't price it where you want, and then you go back and forth, and it ruins your weekend because you're running back to your computer or whatever, and then it just falls apart. It's frustrating. So you're better off just not taking it.
Yeah.
cancel it, be done and move on to something new.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of question around that. And so, to Jamie's point and to this deal we have in Encino right now, like if we're upfront with the seller from the
You hear
beginning,
that?
yeah, there's like a buzzing going on.
Yeah.
I think they're working on the roof, so it might be somebody up there.
I'm sorry. Good.
We told him, we showed him the comps. We said we think it's worth X, and we said, I think Andrew, correct me, we're like 475, like high fours, low fives. We think it's worth. He says I want to be at 575.
Yeah.
We say we don't think it's going to sell there, but we'll still list it if we can work our way down to get to where we think it's going to sell at. Like, is that the best you can do? Is there a way to kind of convince them otherwise? If you're sitting there showing them the data, talking to them, and they're like, nope, this is what it's worth.
This topic gets kicked around a lot, and there's a lot of different opinions on it. And so again, this is just my opinion over, I guess my career is, you know, you have some agents that are going to be like the Mike Ferry school of thought, and like, you know what? Nope, this is what it is. I'm not going to take it over this price, and you know, move on, right? And then there's those that will say, you know what? For sure take it, because with every listing your intent is wanting to get marketing dollars spent on that listing and try to get buyers and try to get more sellers and, you know, market yourself to a certain extent. But then again, it's a double-edged sword, because then you're going to market this property, it's not going to sell, and then you look like not like you don't know what you're doing. So I find this topic very hard to answer, and my take is I will typically give my little spiel about this is about where I want to be. This is where you guys need to be, should be. If you want to price it higher, I don't agree, but I will. I would love to be wrong again, but I'm probably not. So if we, you know, the first 3 weeks is the most important. If you don't get traction the first 3 weeks, you're hurting yourself. So you want to be priced right, be aggressive in this kind of market. Now, again, this changes market to market, so you got to know your market that you're currently in. And so would I walk away from listing? Probably not. But I would definitely give it my all to get it priced right.
Hey, really quick, if I can jump in here. First off, I see Peter on this call. Peter, welcome. Thanks for jumping on. Peter's actually an agent who's looking at joining us. So told him about these meetings and excited to have you, you know, just part of the team kind of listening in. And if you have any questions at all for Craig, Craig is our California broker. And we have a lot of partners and other agents with us. If you have any questions at all, feel free to chime in, Peter.
Great. Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter.
Craig, on that note, I think one thing, I mean, Kobe and I will take on any listing that we can. I'm sorry if there's some background noise, but I think that same philosophy of like that leads to other opportunity, that leads to exposure. I think there's a positive in taking on a listing, even if it's overpriced. But when it comes to the amount of time and effort you put into it, I usually base that off of motive. Like if the seller has the motive, clear motive to actually sell, then I will put the time in, I will put the effort in to get them that result, because you know they need to sell for whatever reason. It's the goal that they're looking to achieve. But if it's clear that that seller is kind of really just messing around, trying to test the market, really not motivated to do anything, then usually that's one that you want to reconsider. Like, is it worth my time? Is it worth putting the marketing dollars in for the exposure? It might be. Kobe and I have done that before, but it actually selling is probably, you know, a real stretch. So something you really want to balance. This one that Kobe and I lost recently is definitely an unfortunate one, but we put a lot of time into that. But you know, it is what it is.
Well, and that goes to conversation, right? Trying to build rapport with your seller, not being the salesman, so to speak. Trying to understand their wants, their needs, where they want to go, why they want to get there. If they don't have a need to sell and they're just trying to throw it out there to see what happens, okay, well, there's your answer. You're going to throw it out there with them and see what happens. Well, you know, pretty much before you put it on the market whether they're close or not close. If they don't have a need to sell, this is an agent to agent decision that this agent needs to make, because you don't want to run this road for 120 days, lose the listing, have them price it right with somebody else because somebody else was stronger than you, and it sells in 4 days, right? So I've seen that time and time again. The listing agent will list it high, they'll run its course, list it with somebody else, and it sells. It's not the agent, it's the price. And so you guys have to be able to express in terms that they'll understand the pricing downfall with going high, and just be able to communicate, right? This is just it's a human game. And so you got to be able to talk to these sellers that way. You're not telling them, maybe direct them to get to that answer themselves without having to combat their price and the challenge. I mean, this is an art, and it's deal to deal specific, and so it's hard to answer. And yeah, that was a long answer to your question, Sue. Good start. All right. All right. Well, I do see Bill on the call. The Tim couldn't make it this morning, so Tim, you're on your own. I'm sorry, Bill, you're on your own. Go for it.
Ready. Cool. Well, I wanted to comment on the list price a little bit too. I've got some buyers here in LA, and they keep getting beaten out on every single home, and it's we're kind of capped at how high we can go on their loan, but every place they're looking at is nicely listed. It's a home that's in nice condition and it's underpriced. Every single one, and every single one is going for way over asking. And I mean, it's just the strategy that works. And another thing I'll say is, because I had to do this with a client of mine who's buying a house, who was giving me a really hard time about the loan conditions and asking why he needed all this. And I said, okay, well, let's just put yourself in the position of the lender. Um, the issue was that he's only putting down 5%, and he kind of wanted to push some of the boundaries on the loan guidelines. And so the conversation was, hey, for the lender, if this loan doesn't get sold to Fannie Mae after it closes, they're stuck with a loan that has a house that has 5% equity in it. If the home value goes down and you walk away, where does that leave the lender? They're sitting there holding a loan on a home that's worth less. And if they have to foreclose, if you walk away, then they're losing money, and that's against their model, So we need to make sure that we package this so that it goes through the process the way it's supposed to. And I think when you're talking to sellers, something that can be powerful is just putting them in the position of the buyer. Just say, hey, let's just take a pause here and consider you are a buyer in this market right now, and you're looking for a home like this, right? What does the competition look like on the market right now? We've got this home over here at this price, we got this one over here at this price, and then we have yours. All right, what's going to separate yours from this one, from these homes? And that being the case, if this one were $50,000 less than yours, and you were out looking to buy, what do you think you would do? Flip the script on them a little bit and try to make them understand that it's not. There are other people involved in this transaction who have the same kind of mindset, and they're going to be using their own logic. And I think that if you can get people to kind of understand what the people on the other side of the transaction are thinking, it can be pretty powerful. I definitely got that guy to shut up, so that was good.
Hey, Bill, I'm really glad you brought that up, because actually with this Encino deal, I never used that more than like switching it back and putting him in the seller in the shoes of the buyer.
Yeah.
And while it didn't work ultimately because we don't have a listing, but that strategy kind of calmed him down the most. It really did work in the sense that it gave him perspective, and I can tell like that was the most well-received thing, putting him in the shoes of the buyer, because we were bringing offers at 4.5, 4.6 when it was listed at like 5.3, 5.4, and I was telling him, hey, this is a savvy buyer. This is a family that is led, an investor. They understand comps. They were looking at these comps. Like, please know that they're coming from it with a perspective of they are trying to get a deal in a buyer's market. And if you were a buyer in this market, you're an investor as well, you're probably going to be doing the same thing. And those comments really made him receive these lowball offers a little bit better. I mean, they weren't even lowball. Like, that was right in line with the market, truly. He's actually asking us to shop it around at 4.5 off market, which is the price we've been bringing him for 6 months now. But yes, that strategy is great. I think on the flip side too, like what you're saying, like put the buyers in the seller's shoes as well. It really goes a long way. And I always tell my buyers like, hey, or I always tell my sellers, if they see something on an offer that's like, they're asking for this inspection or this report or these things done, I tell them, hey, if I was your buyer's agent, I would probably be doing the same thing. Like, I want you to be as protected as possible. I want the seller to pay for as many things for you as possible. So really just kind of flipping that script and making sure your client understands the other side. I think it goes a long way.
And let me jump in before you take off, Bill. So that's huge. And that there's a lot of different, I guess, tactics to get to that same end goal. But this is why I keep talking about building the team around you. Having somebody like Bill or somebody from, I hate to, pitch our mortgage again, but build the team around you guys with the services that we do offer. We have a great escrow team. If you guys want to get net sheets for your sellers and give them real numbers, walk through these questions or processes with your lender. Bill is here for these questions. He's working with a buddy of mine right now, and he goes through and he explains exactly what these different options look like. What does 20% down look like versus 10% versus 5%? Run through these different scenarios. And so when you use real numbers, it's helpful. It's not just hypothetical. And so building the team around you, with from your lender to your mortgage to your um, mortgage lender, same thing, to your escrow, to your title, to whatever team that you want to build around you, build a solid team, use the same people over and over again. So when you do have these issues, um, they're there to help you. And so I'm sorry, that was it. Little small
I
plug
have a
for
question
Bill.
for Bill. My
Sure.
first question was, Bill, were you representing that person as a lender or a real estate agent? I misunderstood that.
No,
And
as a lender. Yeah.
okay,
Just
thank you.
yeah.
And then where are we with mortgage rates and what do you foresee happening?
All right. Well, you're giving me the lead in.
Jumping into it.
Yeah. So,
real quick, 2 seconds. I want to throw something in there about with Craig saying our lender and our escrow and everything. If you have the buyer, do not be afraid to put in your title, your buyer, your escrow. I've done it so many times. I do it on every offer. I never let them, I never put seller's choice. I always put who we want. And I actually get it through more often than you would think. So never be afraid to do that.
yeah, and I'll say on that too. I mean, obviously the lender they're not going to push back on, but they push back on escrow a lot. One thing that I do when for at least with agents who want me to do it is I'll call the listing agent when an offer goes in and just introduce myself, tell them how well qualified the borrower is, try to kind of help promote the offer a little bit because I find it helps and I get agents kind of surprised to hear from me, and so it's a good thing. It helps me capture other new agents as well sometimes. So it's good for me, but it's another thing. If you want to use our escrow, I mean, Beth is amazing. And that's something that I can help promote as well. And with the bundle and save program, it's set up so the escrow is 50% off. So there's a value option in there too for the seller. Like, hey, you're going to get half off of your escrow. And, our lender really likes to work with these people because they get things done and we work with them all the time. So, and it's going to save your client 50% on their escrow as well. And she's great. All right, let's get into the rates first. Well, we'll talk about the news first, I guess. So the Fed is meeting today. It's Jerome Powell's final meeting as the Fed chair. So see what happens once he's done. But it sounds like at least the idea is for them to start trying to push the interest rates down. There's a lot going on in the world right now. Oil prices are back up at over 100, I believe. And so, all of that is having an impact on what's going on with mortgage rates right now. But as it stands, for a standard 30-year fix with no points, we'd be at 6.375% on a conventional loan. That's 20% down with strong credit. Now, if you're using with the bundle and save program, you get an incentive for your client, so they can either get a credit back on the mortgage side. It's 3/4 of a point in credit. So if they want to use that to lower their rate, the rate today would be 6.125 for that buyer. So it's 6.125 with no points. And then 1 point. I guess if we're using bundle and save, it's more like a 1/4 point. It's 5.99. So that's conventional. Still not too bad right now. We're kind of in a weird space, but hoping that they hang on. FHA, the bundle and save. If you use your credit towards the interest rate, we're at 5.5% on the 30-year fixed, and 5.625% would give them back that credit of 3/4 of a point. What else? I think that was really all I had. You guys have any questions?
Nope. Do you think rates are going to be 30 days from now a little bit lower, kind of right as is, or is there a chance of them jumping?
I I mean, I don't know. It's always so hard to say. I don't think they're going to go up much. If they go up, I think the pressure from the Fed will be helpful. I mean, really, like the way the rates move, it has more to do with speculation on what's going to happen. And so having this new guy in place, with the expectation that, I mean, President Trump was asked whether, if he would be disappointed if they didn't cut rates when Powell was out of there, and he said yes, he expects them to cut the rates. So we've got that on our side. But again, the war stuff, it's not solely decided by the Federal Reserve. The rates are kind of set by what's going on in the market. So if inflation numbers don't look good, or it looks like we're having a strong unemployment report, those kind of things can drive the rates up a little bit. But I think they should hold relatively around where they're at. I don't think we're going to get into the sevens again or anything like that. I think we'll kind of remain in the mid to low sixes, and hopefully, if things go well, we'll push down into the high fives.
Okay, sweet.
Should we do a class on the Federal Reserve
next week?
And that is not federal. All right, half kidding.
Yeah, we can talk about that. We can put that together if you want. I can speak on that a little. I'll have to, prepare for that one. But
yeah, who is that? I don't know. Yeah, I have a whole different thought process to the Federal Reserve than most people do. But anyways, all right. So that was the mortgage minute. So I want to ask you guys who here is interested in. I think we went through this last time. I have a whole bunch to talk about when it comes to AI, more so than I think most of you guys care about. And so I don't want to waste your guys' time with. I mean, I literally have compiled a bunch of AI stuff, right? I don't want to go through this and have you guys glazed over. Who here is using AI, and who here wants to learn how to better use AI? Can I see just kind of give some examples, and who wants to jump in a little bit? I mean, I can go over like on a surface level and give you guys an idea of what I do and how to use it. Is that fair?
I think what would be helpful, and anybody else could jump in and give their own pitch, would be if today you kind of laid out the different tools you're using, some general examples of what you use them for, some of the capabilities, just like kind of introductory of it. And then over the next couple of weeks, we do little case studies on each tool specific and how you could use it to like maybe automate leads or automate meta ads or price out a winery for sale. We could take a deeper dive into like actual case studies of it, but if today was more of a overview of the different tools you use, what you use them for, which ones you use them for.
All right. So that was a long intro, but let me go from here. So when it comes to the different AI models, I go back and forth between Claude, Manus, Grok, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and then there's certain ways that you can just use it as a daily conversation piece, how to structure emails, how to structure listings, how to structure a few things. But I'm trying to push it a little bit further and create all of my systems around agents. And so if I wanted to create a marketing system for myself or for you guys, what does that look like? And so what I want to do is just, and you can kind of see where my brain has been, right? So you guys can do this yourselves. The most important thing for me to tell you guys is prompting. And so if you are looking to for a jump off point in AI, just look at the different LLM models, right? Large language models. So with that being said, I really want you guys to open up Claude, open up Manus, ChatGPT, all these different LLM models, and kind of just play around with it, right? And so when it comes to prompting, ask it. Okay. And so when I'm talking about marketing, I will go through and I will talk, you want to kind of give it the structure of what you're wanting it to do, right? And so I want to have this act as
like,
what's that? Like what? Whatever, either way, but
keep going. I just thought maybe you're going to ask ChatGPT how to organize this for us for next Tuesday.
No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you guys a prompt and then what the prompt spits out, right? So I guess before I even go that far, I can just show you guys a few different things, right? So this will kind of break down um, when I'm trying to give you guys, go ahead.
Craig, why use different like Claude versus ChatGPT, Jack versus whatever the other one you said?
So Perplexity. So Perplexity for me is more of like a research tool. If I'm going to research, right now I have a buddy of mine that's selling a winery, and so uh, where did it go? I don't know where it went. Anyway, so I use Perplexity to jump off point to research wineries in the area, what's selling, valuations on wineries, so on and so forth. And so when I'm going through this, I'm asking it specific questions, asking it for specific outcomes, and telling it to act like a whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Okay, and so um, this is the actual chat. So I don't need to recreate it and type while you guys watch me, but just to give you guys an idea, right? So I'm giving it a prompt of what I want it to do, who I am, where I want it to go, what I want it to research, so on and so forth, right? And so when I'm doing this, I'm trying to give it as much information as I possibly can. The better the input, the better the output. All right. And so when I do this, it goes through and then it'll most of the time I didn't on this one because I was kind of superficial, but I'll ask it questions. I'll say, look, if you don't know what I'm asking you, please ask me questions along the way, and it will. It'll ask me questions to clarify things. It'll really kind of prompt me to prompt it. I will then ask it, how can I better prompt you guys to get, how can I better prompt you to get this outcome? And so then I'll ask it to show me how to prompt it. But here's what I want to show you guys, because it really kind of goes through, and the information that it gives you is pretty impressive, right? And so it goes through and it finds, what wineries are for sale, if the market is soft in the wine, in the winery space, if, what is Temecula like versus Napa? What is it going to do? What's it going to spit out? It gives me a lot of information. Of what now I can go back to my seller and go, look, here's exactly what you guys are looking at. Here's the way to make you guys a decision. Back to pricing things correctly, right? You want to be able to tell your client where to price things, why you're coming to this conclusion, so on and so forth. What are wineries selling for? Is it 3x EBITDA? Is it 6? Whatever. What kind of winery is it? And I'm gonna go fast through this, but I want to just show you guys that test out these different models. I will go through and I'll give the same prompt to multiple different LLMs and then start different conversations with each one, because they ask you different questions. They give you different outcomes. And so I will walk myself through 3 or 4 at a time to get the angle that I'm going for. And so I will continue on with that one. So Claude to me has been my go-to for most of what I wanted to do. In this scenario, I was asking, if it was to be tokenized, if you guys are familiar with blockchain, with smart contracts, if it made sense to sell this winery to the wine club members. And that was the angle I was trying to get at with this particular question, and understanding, how I can explain tokenization, how I can explain NFTs, how I can explain this process to these sellers. I know it just enough to be dangerous. In a soft market, the winery probably isn't going to sell anytime soon, right? Or anywhere near the price that they want. So how can I get them the highest valuation for their winery by not just listing it on the open market, and having them sit there for 2 years or take $3 million less than what it probably actually is worth? Because not to me, people out there buying wineries, but if you open it up to the wine members, you can probably sell that winery all day long for what they want to get it for. And so that's what I was asking in this chat, right? And so when I get down to the bottom of this chat, it really breaks down. Hold on, bear with me. So back to it asks me questions, right? And then I have to just kind of go through and understand the model more. But what I want to show you guys is what the outcome really produces that I can give to them. This is like a full breakdown PDF that I can print out and go through with them, right? And tells you exactly what's going on, different scenarios. I'll ask you questions. If this, then what? If, what different scenarios can it come up with? What different models can I use? And then I say, okay, well, this is great. Now, if I want to start changing some values, how can I do that, right? And so I change these valuations.
I think you download it.
I did. Hold on. Not
right.
So I change it to where I now have these valuations. I can change these numbers and it changes the output, right? So this is all made by AI. But if I was to go sit down with my clients, they're like, holy shit, you did a lot of work. Well, I didn't. I just made it to where it looks like I did a lot of work. And so it kind of really goes through these different scenarios. If I change their EBITDA, because I didn't have that offhand, if I change their EBITDA from 2 million to
Greg,
yeah,
I surely don't mean to cut you off from your winery example,
yeah,
but can I explain another way that it works through just maybe not many of us deal in wineries, and I think that you educated yourself, and I'm shocked that it does all this. But even for a listing, if you're going to, you can do all this just for a listing. If somebody says, hey, I may sell my home, I feel that AI right now does a better job than our MLS for putting it together like this. But definitely need to pick up the phone and call a couple agents when you're doing it for just a residential listing, because somebody sold their home for a ton, way over other people. So I called and I was like, hey, what's happening? And they explained a divorced person just wanted to buy the home. They wanted to be in the same community, which is why they paid $70,000 over anything that had sold. So it's important not just to do that AI, but to also look at the outliers and call up the agents. I love your winery example. Would like to drink some wine right now this time of day. However, in reality of what I think most of us may be doing, I don't know, is like you can use it for the residential listing side of it also, and it's fantastic, just like this.
Yeah. Forget the winery version of this. What I'm trying to show you guys is the input versus the output. And so whether you guys are selling a residential house, whether you're selling an apartment complex, whether you're selling a winery, it's all the same world, right? And so you're going to use this for the different outputs. You put the right input in, and it's going to get you the necessary outputs based off what you put into it, right? So when it comes to different roles, different responsibilities, you give it different paths. And so that's all I'm trying to say. So with that being said, again, I had a whole course built out, but there's no way I'm going to run through a course in our Tuesday training.
I think what we could do is kind of talk about a couple case studies we could pick, and then each meeting could be around from prompting to the actual output, a specific tool maybe that could be used. And so, like, say next Tuesday, if people are interested in Meta and Google Ads, which of the LLMs to use, what we would prompt it with, tailor it around obviously residential real estate, but leave enough variable there where it's like I could say I want to target home buyers in North County, San Diego, versus one of our agents in Georgia can put in their target, and we kind of walk through and do maybe a little workshop of how to prompt it, how to get the outputs, what the content can be around it, how to create some of the static graphics, some scripts, as well as if you want to do like Meta and Google Ads, give everybody kind of a workbook to them specifically.
Yeah.
Could be a way to do it.
And I'm using it differently, I guess, than most at this point. But does anybody have any questions on just AI in general? Kind of what Kobe's talking about that I can jump in and help you guys with?
Craig, so my question is when you do the prompts and the prompt like answers you, you answer the prompt, and then you get information that is information upon information. How do you get it into a certain kind of document that is able to be shown, like that you would like to have for yourself or for your website or something like that?
Well, if Josh is still here, he'll show you that. So you can prompt, whether it be Claude or ChatGPT, for what you're looking for, and then take that prompt and put it into Lovable if you want a website, or if you wanted to put that into Perplexity, and same thing, it'll create everything for you. So if you wanted to do a
Okay.
full website, you ask it for it, and it'll show you exactly what it is to do. And so I guess to Sue's point, there's a lot of different things that I can walk through right now, but if you're using it just for a residential listing, there's a lot of things that I can go through that are probably glaze over most of your eyes. And so if you want to just kind of go over certain things specifically, I think I could probably make the most sense.
Mm-hmm. And so
So
maybe
Craig,
yeah.
why don't you find out from a survey what maybe people are interested in, knowing the difference from the different sites? Is it the website? Is it residential listing? Is it a CMA? Is it find out what we would like to learn and then maybe put your plan into action in a nice organized Tuesday fashion.
Yeah, and if it's not even on a Tuesday training, we can make this a separate deal altogether, right? So
Like I just used it for my e-newsletter. I do an e-newsletter and I've done it for years, but I had AI help me with it. It didn't write it. I put my words in, but it definitely helped each section. So I was just able to copy and paste. I still went to MailChimp. I still opened up in MailChimp. And there's some glitches. It's not perfect. So I'm going to have somebody look at it. But that was the way that I used it recently.
Yeah.
Still took me 2 hours.
Yeah. And again, I'm just trying to figure out how I can unwind my brain into making this more user friendly for you guys.
Can I throw in my 2 cents on it?
Yes.
Cool. So I'll say I've had a lot of success with using AI. I don't think it's won me any listing. I don't think it's done anything different than what I already had in my head. The reality is, though, I think it's actually quite dangerous if you can't eliminate the noise of what you're trying to do. And I'm talking about in the big picture and the small picture. So
like right now?
Right. Yeah. So, no, the noise, yeah, the noise it's important here because you literally can do almost anything with Claude and Claude Code. You can code a site with old CSS, HTML. You can do it in Java. You can do it in Python. You can do all kinds of things that are very powerful. I've created internal tools. This is just throwing ideas out there, but not to distract. I've created internal tools for my personal property management company. I've done it to track certain properties as if they are like on the stock exchange, like try to track certain types of condos. Like I've done this, like created a little tool where I input a bunch of addresses and then it's telling me its actual gains versus other ones. There's no shortage of data and user interfaces, essentially just different lipstick people are putting on data nowadays and then trying to wrap it up and resell it like it's something new. None of it is new. None of this is new. This actually has been around for a long time. It's just humans were really, really, really good at doing a lot of this. And then they had their own systems. AI is now just coming out with the consumer front. So it's important to actually dial back. The way I use AI myself, I will use it for quick filtering of data. Usually it's actually easier for me to ask my title rep to tell me exactly what I want rather than try and do it all myself, even with AI, because AI is going to make all kinds of mistakes. You don't know what you don't know when it comes to its mistakes it's making and assumptions that's making. So I can rely on my title rep more for stuff that I need data about my market or about where I'm going to. When it comes to what I've used it for successfully, I've used it very successfully for pretty kick butt descriptions, which almost everyone does. I'll say whenever you run a description, like I'm talking about a listing description, whenever you run that, or if you run like a newsletter, it's also really good for writing newsletters. And if you train it by putting in your own writing, like you were just saying, if you train it by putting in your own writing and then writing back to it and then pasting in other things that you've written and then telling it to mimic you, I want you to use my tone, utilize my tonality. You can create really kick butt like content when it comes to your own newsletters. I've done it for that a little bit. I haven't done it on mass scale, like bigger newsletters. I've used it for short form type responses like emails. But when it comes to listing descriptions, I've used it there. Always in everything AI, have it remove hyphens. There's a name for the type of dash it uses.
M dash.
Yeah. Have it remove M dashes. Have it remove paragraph separators, like the lines. Always do that, because as humans do, as we know in sales, there are certain things we don't want to say because it triggers people's like defenses. Certain things we don't want to, we don't want to ask close-ended questions, all kinds of things. Same thing with AI. If we're putting out content, all of a sudden we go from zero to like we're putting out all this content like crazy. People will pick up on that and be like, yeah, they're probably just throwing it in AI. And if you write an email and it's way long, I just had this happen. I have a guy I work with. This is the type of real world example. I have a guy I work with all the time. He does all types of gen contractor work for my management company, and he's done it for different properties of mine. And I asked him a very specific question about running some permits for a property. And he wrote me this long email back, and I'm reading it, and there's all this fluff. I'm like, dude, this guy he just put it into freaking AI, and he just responded to me. Is there something wrong with that? Maybe not. Someone may not think so. I think there's something wrong with that. I don't like that. I want him to respond to my question as far as what he knows. He can utilize AI to educate himself if he's not sure of himself, but I don't like that he just auto sent me a reply that I'm 99.9% sure was AI. It removes the personality behind it. So you can use AI to educate yourself, and you can use it to make yourself better, but you have to be very careful. You don't want to be someone that your clients are like, oh, they're just using AI. Like it really, I think, can dumb us down if we're not careful there. But I've used it for descriptions. I've used it actually for some legal. So I had some tenants try and sue one of my owners, and then the owner tried to pass it off on us after I'd already ended that relationship. It was 3 tenants got together. It was actually a very silly thing, but it was like $2.5 million. They wrote this 65-page letter about all their grievances. I cut that thing up in about an hour with utilizing the tools of AI to identify what their real claims were and responding to each claim based on I wrote out like 3 or 4 pages, like responding to the claim, but AI took everything I had and it took what their claim was and it responded like pow, pow, pow. So that's that's immense. I didn't feel I had to call an attorney about that, right? Should I have? Some people may say so. I don't think so. I think it's something that's literally just going to go away. I'll keep you updated on that. But there's a lot of power behind it, but we have to be very laser focused because the noise has to be cut out. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I've used it in a lot of ways. I've created internal tools for tracking. But you have to be the creator. You have to remember that a creator can't be aimless. So whatever that creation is, you have to laser focus on what you're trying to create. Otherwise, it could take you all over the place and you feel like, okay, well, it's not really that great. Well, it is great, but it's an extension of yourself.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. Sounds good.
No, and I think
the inputs, the output's as good as the input. So yeah, and it's not really kind of where I wasn't back to the input. I wasn't knowing where I wanted to go with this, and so my output's pretty shitty. So forgive me for that. But I do think AI is important for you guys to really at least start to learn yourselves, right? And explore it on your own. I've asked it to teach me different things. I've asked it to teach me how to prompt. I've asked it to teach me, how to create a course to teach AI. And to Josh's point, it made me this 47-page course that I'm like, holy shit, I don't even know what the hell it's talking about to teach it. But I guess my point is you have to be able to jump in and utilize it for what you're trying to utilize it for. Use it for the good. To his point too, you don't want to just blindly
listen.
Yeah, blindly listen. You want to, internalize what it's saying. Use it as a research tool. And again, good job, because Josh is saying a lot of important things, because again, we're in the human business. And so when someone knows that you're using an AI bot, I get annoyed, I'll for fun entertain different AI bots when I know it's an AI bot just to see how good it really is. But that's because I'm geeking out on AI right now. But I don't like that. I want to be able to pick up the phone and talk to the human behind the bot. And so don't lose sight of that. Use it for the tool that it is created for. And I think it's very important to learn in our day and age. You gotta look back to when I got into real estate in '96, the internet was brand new. And so oh my gosh, this huge shift of the internet. Well, Then it was this big thing in blockchain that didn't take off. But AI is right here. Everyone's using AI. And so if you guys aren't at least aware of it, utilizing it for your tools, for your automations. I mean, we have automations built out in GHL. Use it. Tap into what we have. Do your own homework.
What I think we could do also is have maybe Dylan come on next week. I've been working with Dylan a lot, and for a specific use case of real estate is having one AI prompt kind of run from your ads to your social media to your follow-up to make sure you have a consistent voice throughout. And so one thing we always struggled with was trying to sit down and really come up with a social media plan. And we would go and create a social media plan and try to run that for a couple months. And then we would create a different follow-up campaign, drip campaign. And then we would spend some time going and running meta ads and Google ads. And by utilizing AI, we're able to kind of put them all under one house, have the AI bot itself act as the quote unquote marketing director to make sure there's a consistent brand and tone and voice, from ad to social media to website to blog post to text and email follow up that really keeps you consistent all the way through. And then another thing we really use it for is making sure like our blog posts, our emails, parts of our website, our ads are optimized for AI search as well as for just basic SEO. And so I might have this great idea of, oh, I want to write a blog post about this golf course I just went and filmed. I don't know how to optimize every single word for SEO, but I can go and I can write my actual prompt that I want to write or my blog post I want to write and just throw it in and say, can you just optimize this for SEO? And so really having to be for a very tailored workflow of automating blog postings, automating some of your content creation, automating some of your captions. But like Josh is saying, making sure that you are the person that's like very pointed in where it's going and using it for very specific workflow because we've gone down the rabbit holes of maybe we shouldn't even be selling real estate. We should just be going out and posting on social media. And I should be a golfer. Obviously not that.
You should not be a golfer.
I should not be a golfer. But using it in the right way and in a tailored way. And so maybe next week, what we could do is have Dylan jump on. We're working on a couple tools right now that take from our agents' inputs of who they want to be focused on, who their target demographic is, buyers and sellers, how it takes them from their initial input to what the ads look like, graphics look like, captions look like, websites look like, blog posts look like, trip campaigns look like.
Yeah.
Dylan's working with me on that, and he had
Yes.
to plug it into a project.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with it. But yes, I agree with you guys.
That's Heather. Heather's in the back. She said that her and Dylan are
We
working
have
on that right
some
now.
human attendees at our meeting today.
Yeah.
It's great. It's nice to see faces. You guys should all come to our so to this point, and this is kind of like I think where I've been wrong and trying to figure out how to teach this course. I think it's to that point, it's specificity, right? To be specific on what you're asking it. We just had iPhone ask us a question about using it to narrow down a farm. One, you can call it title. Title can help us. I'm sure Becca's would be love to hear that. Title can help you with that, but looking at data for analytics to understand who's been in the house for 3 to 5 years, whatever that data is out there. So specifically trying to figure out for sellers, that could be one aspect of what we're trying to accomplish and teach that, right? So yes, my jump off point was probably way wrong. So I think we drilled this down into specifics for actually using it for tools to that point. So
and Craig, like we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago now, maybe that was 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, I guess it was. That's crazy. So I actually have a couple things that you had mentioned that I also have kind of done for myself that are practical, like tools that could be super valuable to everyone in the brokerage. Like, for example, here's one. There's I have one where it's like a letter template, and I've been coaching it. Like I've been teaching this letter template, but it's essentially it's a bid to say, I would love to represent you. And I send it when there's a death on title, essentially. So I send it like within 30 days or so, or sooner. Usually you want to give a little bit of time. But I just sent one there's 6 properties on a lot. And Craig, who has worked this farm that we're in together as partners for over 35 years, he got the in through one of the beneficiaries. And he said, Josh, like, I'd love to give them something, but I don't really know where they're at. And we don't know the rents on any of the properties. So yesterday morning, I was actually sick. I spent about 30 minutes like writing out all my thoughts on this property without knowing how the best way to evaluate it was. And not knowing the rents that are current. I actually asked Andrew about this, like his opinion, because it is kind of more commercial, even though it's all residential. It's more commercial when it comes to like it's a 30,000 square foot lot. I was able to put together a kick-ass letter that was essentially respecting the gravity of the fact that the primary died in this large trust, right? Respecting it without knowing who died. I actually don't know who it was, right? So I was able to do that. It was able to take the words that I was trying to say and get there. I did that. I made the comment that we are essentially the best possible team to represent all the interests, whether they choose to sell or choose to find valuation for this property another way. And basically put in a bid and then show like some of the sales that we did. And he was like, I gave it to him and he was super impressed. He's going to present it to all the beneficiaries, right? So I could have written something myself. Would it have been presented? I don't know. I think I was able to tailor it, make it a little better and that one I just used ChatGPT. So we could be very specific with what tool, whether it's chat, whether it's Claude code or Claude, whether it's Perplexity or any of the others, or whatever the other one is, Lovable. We could do that and create tools, listing description creator, ways to tailor. Like we could actually do that and have those tools available to everyone. But I think we just need to create what those are, and then whoever has interest in any of those can just go after it. That's easy, not too hard to do for us. We just have to put our heads together and launch them.
And that's what I think Dylan was working with Heather on. And it is what's the intake of an agent, who their target is, who they want to be focused on, buyer, sellers, areas, their tone, their voice. And then it will go and kind of build out all of those follow-up steps to it. And so, like you're saying, what other pieces can we plug into that? Do you want to have a listing descriptor tool within it that every time you have a listing, it's going to take that same brand and same voice, take it into your listing descriptions or to your newsletters? So
yeah,
let's do that next week.
Okay. And again, this is new for probably all of us. There's new tools being rolled out every single day. So we are here again as a resource for you guys, trying to figure out how to help you guys the best we possibly can. And so as a resource, if you guys have any questions, please ask anything specific on AI or on tech or on GHL or on automations or on anything around any of this marketing. Just please ask. We're here again trying to think of different ideas to talk to you guys each week about, trying to be a better resource for you. And the launch point of AI is so ginormous that I don't even know how to start, but this is probably a good spot. Josh, thank you for jumping in and helping fine tune that. Does anybody have any closing questions on this or on anything else?
I just had one comment. I think it's super helpful, and I thank you so much for this. I think that having best practices is something that's a super added value to me as an agent, to have this best practices of how to do things with AI. In general, I think people can go in and play with AI and do things with AI and do their own thing, but to have a listed best practices for all the different aspects that are the pieces. And then as agents maybe come up with a better way, they could add that in there too. So you'd end up in your school program with just all these videos of all the best ways to do things.
I like it.
Yeah. We'll spend some time today, put that together.
Yeah.
With AI.
I'll use AI for that.
All right. Sweet. Anything else?
Do a book club.
Book club. Book club Thursday. Don't forget.
Thank you, Sue.
Peter, we also do a book club, by the way, every Thursday, 10 a.m., led by Craig. Some other agents, partners with us, they jump on and talk about mostly sales.
Sue leads it most of the time.
Took over your job, Craig. You're not